If you've ever felt like you're always the one reaching out, always the one trying to fix things while the person you care about keeps pulling away, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Jim Rohn, and today I'm going to show you how to make an avoidance chase you without playing games, without manipulation, and without betraying your own self-worth. You might think that sounds impossible, especially if you've been stuck in a cycle of anxious overthinking, chasing their attention, or constantly trying to decode their mixed signals. Maybe you've felt the sting of silence after opening up, or the confusion of feeling close one moment and pushed away the next. It's not that you're too much. It's not that you did something wrong. The truth is, you're trying to connect with someone who fears the very intimacy you're offering. And when you start overfunctioning to bridge that emotional gap, you abandon yourself. But here's the shift. Real attraction, especially with an avoidant partner, doesn't come from proving your value. It comes from embodying it. In this video, I'll break down exactly why avoidance deactivate, how secure people respond, and the mindset shift that makes you magnetic. Not because you're trying harder, but because you've stopped negotiating for crumbs. This isn't about mind games or reverse psychology. It's about emotional clarity, the kind that reclaims your power and rebalances the dynamic without a single desperate move. So if you've ever asked yourself, how do I get them to come toward me instead of always pulling away? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand how to create the space where real connection can come to you. And if you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting healthy, secure love, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the journey back to self-worth starts right here. Let's talk about something that messes with your head after a breakup or a period of emotional withdrawal: the mixed signals. One minute they told you they loved you, the next they're gone, radio silence, and you're left wondering if they ever meant it at all. That confusion, it's not your fault. It's what happens when you're dealing with someone who has an avoidant attachment style. And unless you understand what's really going on underneath the surface, you're going to keep making the same painful assumption: they must not care anymore. But what if I told you that the attraction didn't vanish? What if I told you the emotions are still there, buried under fear and emotional overwhelm? See, avoidants don't stop feeling. They shut down because they're feeling too much. And for them, intimacy can feel like a threat to their independence. That might sound strange, but for avoidance, closeness often triggers an unconscious fear of being engulfed, of losing themselves. So they disconnect, not because they don't value you, but because connection itself feels risky. This is where most people mess up. They try harder, they reach out more, they chase, and to an avoidant that doesn't feel loving, it feels invasive, so they pull back even further. If this sounds familiar, I want you to lean in, because here's where everything shifts. You don't need to chase to get their attention, you need to create space. Not as a trick, not to manipulate, but because space is where an avoidant feels safe enough to reflect and possibly re-engage. And that's where real change can happen. But here's the part no one tells you. You have to stop trying to earn what should be given freely. When you let go of convincing them and focus on regulating your own emotions, your energy shifts, and they feel it. That shift, it's magnetic, it's subtle, and it often flips the dynamic. So if you've been playing the should I reach out game or overanalyzing every little behavior, I want to ask you something bold. What would happen if instead of chasing them, you started choosing you? Because avoidants aren't drawn to need, they're drawn to self-trust. And anxious chasing only reinforces the story that you need them to feel okay. Imagine how different the energy would feel if instead you let the silence speak for itself. If you gave them space and gave yourself clarity. And look, this isn't just theory. I've coached hundreds of people through this exact dynamic, and the shift is real. But it starts with the willingness to stop trying to fix it and start understanding it. If you're ready to stop guessing and start mastering this, drop a comment right now and tell me where you are in your situation. Let's talk about it. I read every one, and don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, I'll be breaking down the exact message that reopens connection without sacrificing your dignity. You don't have to play games to be chosen. You just have to stop abandoning yourself to be loved. There's something fascinating and a little frustrating about how we're drawn to people who seem to have exactly what we struggle with. You've probably noticed it too. The anxious person is almost always magnetized by the avoidant, and the avoidant, they find themselves strangely intrigued by the anxious one. That's not a coincidence, it's not bad luck, it's psychology. On some deep level, we're pulled toward people who reflect back the parts of ourselves we haven't fully developed. If you tend to crave closeness and reassurance, chances are you're drawn to someone who seems self-contained, independent, hard to reach, and that very independence feels intoxicating, even if it ends up hurting. On the flip side, an avoidant is often captivated by the emotional openness and warmth of someone more anxious, even if they later feel overwhelmed by it. Why? Because deep down they crave what they struggle to express: connection. But here's the catch, and this is the part I don't want you to miss. What starts out feeling like chemistry can quickly turn into a cycle of emotional chasing and withdrawal. The more you seek closeness, the more they retreat. The more they retreat, the more you panic and pursue. You start overfunctioning, they shut down, and without realizing it, you both become trapped in a pattern that reinforces your fears. I'm too much. For you, you'll take my freedom from me. If this is hitting home, comment, "That's me," right now, so I know you're here, and we can talk about it together. Now, here's the pivot point most people never see coming. The only way to break that cycle isn't by fixing the other person, it's by becoming secure in yourself. That means shifting from "I need you to feel safe" to "I choose you, but I don't need to chase you." The moment you stop reacting from fear and start responding from grounded, secure energy, you change everything. Avoidants don't open up to pressure, they open up to space. And they gravitate toward people who can regulate their own emotions instead of outsourcing that job. So here's your power move. Let go of the urge to convince them. Stop proving your worth. Start showing up like someone who already knows it. When you can hold space for your own anxiety without acting on it, you stop looking like a threat to their independence and start becoming someone they can actually move toward. This is the kind of emotional self-control I help clients build, especially when it doesn't come naturally. Because let's be honest, many of us were taught love meant giving everything, sacrificing ourselves, staying close at all costs. But secure love is something else entirely. It doesn't beg, it doesn't cling, it invites and it allows. If you're still wondering, okay, but what exactly do I do next? Good. That question is what will carry you to the breakthrough. And that's exactly what I'm covering in the next video. What to say, what not to say, and how to respond when the avoidant reappears after pulling away. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss that. And in the meantime, drop a comment below and tell me, where are you right now in your journey? I want to hear from you, because this isn't about playing games. It's about finally breaking free from the pattern and stepping into the kind of love that lasts. Let's be honest, what this really comes down to isn't about making them text you back or getting them to miss you. It's about something deeper, shifting from needing external validation to discovering what it actually feels like to validate yourself. And that shift, that's what sets people free. But I know it's not easy, especially when every fiber in you wants to reach out just so you can feel seen, just so they can remind you that you mattered, that you weren't just forgettable. If you've been there, if you're there right now, I want you to comment below. I'm learning to let go, because naming where you are is the first step toward change. This process isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about unlearning everything you used to do when fear took over. All the ways you tried to earn love, prove you were enough, or keep someone close by overfunctioning. That old pattern, it wasn't love, it was survival. And now, you're being asked to choose something radically different, security, from the inside out. And when you start showing up from that place, even in silence, you become magnetic. Not by chasing, not by proving, but simply by being. That's what avoidants actually notice when the anxious energy fades. and what's left is your quiet, grounded self. That's the moment they start wondering, did I lose something valuable? So here's the reframe I want you to hold on to. Your goal is not to win them back. Your goal is to become someone you'd never abandon again. You've already tried the chasing path. You've tried pouring energy into someone who was already halfway out the door. That didn't bring them closer, it burned you out. So now, what if you put that energy back into yourself? Build a life that excites you. Reconnect with friends. Learn something new. Wake up for you, not for the possibility that they might call. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's not. Because when you fill your life with things that bring you joy, you don't just heal, you glow. And people feel that. Here's what most people never realize. Avoidants are hypersensitive to pressure. The more you try to fix it, the more they see you as a threat to their emotional space. But when you stop orbiting around them and start building your own center of gravity, you become someone they can approach again. Because you're no longer trying to pull them in. You're just there, living, stable, present, whole. So if you've been stuck in the loop of obsessing over what to say or whether to reach out, pause. What would your life look like if you were the focus again? Because when you become the kind of person who doesn't need constant reassurance, you stop being reactive and start becoming irresistible. That's not manipulation. That's growth. That's emotional maturity. And that's what breaks the cycle. Now, if you've made it this far, here's what I want you to do. Drop a comment right now and tell me the one thing you're going to reclaim for yourself this week. Is it a hobby? A boundary? A moment of peace without checking your phone every 5 minutes? I read every comment and I want to cheer you on. And if this message resonated, hit that subscribe button, because in the next video, I'm sharing exactly what avoidants respond to emotionally and what shuts them down instantly. You don't want to miss it. Here's something I want you to really sit with. What if, instead of trying to get them back, your next move was about getting yourself back? Not as a strategy, not as reverse psychology, but as a radical return to your own center. Because yes, let's be real, maybe part of you does want them to notice. Maybe a small part of you wants to prove to them, see, I'm doing great, you missed out. That's human, but the real transformation happens when your reason for showing up for yourself stops being about them and starts being about you. If that shift hits home, I want you to comment, "This is for me now," because that's the line in the sand. That's when the healing actually begins. What you do from here, how you spend your time, what you focus on, the way you carry yourself. It has to be about creating a life that feels good to live in, even if no one else ever claps for it. That's not about being cold. That's about becoming whole. And ironically, the second you stop organizing your life around whether or not they return is often when they feel safe enough to. But here's the real power play. By then, you get to decide if it's even still aligned for you. That shift in focus, that's everything. Because here's where most people fall back into old habits. The moment the avoidant reaches out, they overreact. One text turns into 3 replies, one call turns into panic. But remember, avoidants respond best to something I call low-pressure connection. Keep it light, keep it warm. Don't rush to repair. Don't bring up the past just because there's an opening. The emotional safety they crave doesn't come from intense conversations. It comes from energy that says, I'm good and I welcome you, but I don't need you to regulate me. This is where emotional pacing becomes crucial. You've got to match their tone and tempo, not because you're walking on eggshells, but because you're attuned. You're no longer reacting, you're responding with self-awareness. Yes, of course, there has to be progress. You can't live forever in surface-level interactions. But that growth has to feel natural, not forced. Every time you try to push the pace, to dig deeper before they're ready, you risk triggering the very thing you're trying to avoid, their shutdown reflex. So the work becomes this: creating meaningful connection without urgency, letting things unfold, not rush. And if that sounds frustrating, I get it. But It's a short-term discomfort for long-term clarity, because either they'll meet you in that space, or you'll get the clean truth that it was never yours to fix. And both outcomes give you peace. If you've ever wondered, how do I connect without overwhelming them? That's what this whole process is about. And trust me, it's a skill, one you can learn, one I coach clients through every single day. But it begins with you showing yourself that your life is worth investing in, whether or not they're in it. So drop a comment right now and tell me, what's one thing you're doing this week for you? Not to win them back, but to rebuild yourself. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next video, I'm breaking down how to navigate the exact moment they start reappearing and how to respond without repeating the past. You're not here to chase, you're here to choose. Let's build that life, starting now. At the end of the day, this entire journey is not about becoming someone more lovable so they'll come back. It's about remembering that you were always enough, even when someone couldn't fully receive you. What we've talked about today, shifting from anxious chasing to secure self-ownership, pacing the connection instead of pressuring it, and building a life that's centered around you. These are not just strategies for attracting someone back. These are foundations for lasting emotional peace, with or without them. Because here's the truth most people miss. When you stop waiting to feel worthy based on someone else's actions, you free yourself, you reclaim your timeline, you stop rehearsing conversations in your head and start showing up in your life. And that's when everything changes. Not just in your relationships, but in the way you walk through the world. So thank you, truly, for watching this video and taking the time to care about your growth. I know how heavy this can feel, and if you made it this far, I want you to know, I see the effort you're making, and it matters. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another step on this path toward healing and healthy love. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me what part of today's message hit home the most, or where you are in your journey right now. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. You're not alone in this, you're just getting started, and you're doing better than you think.